My next speaker today is an internationally recognized expert in transforming Rust Belt companies into high-tech powerhouses. He teaches senior Rust Belt executives how to revitalize their companies to triple profits and leave the competition behind using his proven formula of igniting innovational potential. He's the best-selling author of 5 critically acclaimed books, and his latest is Metamorphosis, From Rust Belt to High Tech in a 21st Century World. Please welcome my good friend, Stephen Blue.
Thanks, Greg. Have you ever had one of those days when everything is going right? Everything's right in the world. Your health is good, your family is good, your life is good, everything is just terrific. Raise your hand if you've ever had one of those days. Well, what I'm going to talk to you about in a minute was not one of those days. I was at home, this was 25 or 30 years ago, in my family room. My wife was sitting on the couch. I was in the easy chair. My 2-year-old daughter was on the floor. My 5-year-old son was on the floor next to her watching the Disney Channel. It was a hallmark moment until all of a sudden this brick came flying through the window. Shards of glass shattered all over my daughter and my son. And then the death threats started coming. People were yelling, "Death to Steve Blue, death to Steve Blue." Why were they doing this? I'll tell you why. Because I was making massive change in the company, massive improvements in the company. And raise your hand if you think people like change. I didn't think. 1. Okay, there's 1 out of probably 100. And then my employees were going around my back to my board saying, "You got to get rid of this maniac because he's going to destroy the company." And just when I thought it couldn't get worse, Sister Patrill called my wife and said I was having an affair with one of my employees. Anyone remember who Sister Patrill was? Neither do I, but it sounded authentic. And of course, I wasn't. Now here's my point. If you want to make massive improvements, if you want to massively increase your profits and your earnings, and I assume you do or you wouldn't be here, you better strap on your flak jacket because it's going to be a long, scary ride. But I'll tell you what you should not do. Don't take chances. Don't take risk. Take big risks. Now, I'm not talking about bet the company risk, but I'm talking about big risk. Little risk won't get you much of anything at all, but big risk has big potential, and that's what you should always go for. In my career, I've made a habit of taking big risks. Some of them have worked out okay, some of them not. Here's the first one I ever did. 20 or 25 years ago, I started a trade show company in Mexico. And I had a lot of money on the line. We had this one big event, and I had to bring all the suppliers in from the United States to this trade show venue in Mexico. One thing I didn't know at the time was I had to guarantee, anybody that's done this kind of work know you have to guarantee the hotel rooms, which means if people don't show up, you have to pay for them anyway. I was on the hook for $100,000. My net worth was less than 10. So I'm sweating bullets. 2 days before the event, massive snowstorms in the Northeast, shut down all the airports, canceled all the flights, and now I'm really scared shitless. Pardon my French. And by the way, if you're not scared to death of your big idea, or motivated or inspired by your big idea, then your big idea is not big enough. As it turned out, the snowstorms cleared, all my customers got there, and it was a fabulous success, stunning success, made a ton of money. So now, I am the CEO with the Midas touch. All my ideas are good, right? All your ideas are always good, right? Of course they are. So I start this firm and launch a venture in Cuba. And I'm thinking I'm going to have the same kind of success I had in Mexico, and it was an absolute total failure. Absolute total failure. And that's the pattern of my career, by the way. About half my ideas are terrific and are stunning successes, and about half of them are totally duds. Here's the problem. I don't know which half until I get it out there into the marketplace, and neither do you and neither does anybody else. But here's what companies do. They evaluate ideas in conference rooms. Ever been in a conference room where you're evaluating an idea? Let me ask you this. Have you ever walked into a room full of people and said, I have this really terrific idea? Have you ever done that? And did they all jump up and go, wow, that's a great idea, let's do it? No, you're shaking your head. That's not what they do. It's what I call blood sport committees. Blood sport committees want to prove each guy's smarter than the guy next to him by putting a bullet in your idea. You've been there, you know what I'm talking about. Or, more importantly, an idea that's never hatched can't fail, and therefore no one can get the blame. So you do not ever want to let a blood sport committee evaluate your idea. You want to let the marketplace evaluate it. Get it out there fast. Get it out there cheap. See what sticks. See what doesn't stick. Get it out there again. Get another one out there again. Whatever sticks will or won't. But you can't do that by a blood sport committee, because that will never work. Now, the last thing I want to say, and this is the most important thing I'll say. My company has an annual golf outing. It's a great event. We take all the employees and their spouses, we play 18 holes in a scramble, and then we have a banquet afterwards. Just a couple of weeks ago, we did this, so we're all having a good time. We're at the banquet afterwards, and as is usually the case, I make remarks. Whenever I get the company together, I make the remarks. And my remarks are almost always the same. I give them all the credit. I always give them all the credit. So I'm making my remarks about, you know, we had a great year, this is working, that's working, it's all because of you, keep it up, good job, and I'm scanning the audience, and all of a sudden I come upon my wife's face, and she's like this. And I'm going, shit. I know I've been drinking all afternoon in the golf course, maybe I'm slurring my words. On the way home, I said, Ann, I want to know why you were frowning during my remarks. She said, because you should be taking all the credit. You did all that. You made all that happen. They played a little role or whatever, but it couldn't have been that big. And I said, honey, I want to tell you two things. First of all, in my heart of hearts, I believe that they deserve all the credit. I really believe that. Oh, I make a strategic thing here. I put a few resources there. But at the end of the day, the execution is the people. It's always the people. And I said the second reason I do that is I know that that will motivate them to do more and more and more. Let's do a straw poll. If you're more likely to follow an arrogant leader, raise your hand. Not even one, that's good. If you're more likely to follow a humble leader, raise your hand. Okay, there's your answer. Now, this is the most important thing. The most important leadership quality you can ever develop is what? There, this is great. Greg, I don't have to do any of the work with this crowd. Most important leadership quality you will ever develop is humility. The most effective leadership quality you will ever develop and you must possess is humility. Because humility moves mountains. Humility moves people. And most importantly, humility drives massive results. Thank you.